Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott U-Haul, and I want to say thank you very much for stopping in and hitting us with our most recent virtual coffee chat. Some healthy living and wellness for living to a great long age. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, please throw them in the chat room during the conversation, and I'll discuss that at the end with our Q&A session. So let's get after it. Today, probably what I'm going to try to do is kind of summarize the 5 components of health-related fitness and put that into a concept that we can live to be a healthy and ripe old age and enjoy life even when we get to be a little bit older. Quality of life, very important, and we're going to try to cover those concepts today. So as usual, real quickly, I want to differentiate myself between a medical doctor and the PhD that I have. Medical doctors, MDs and DOs, they help take care of patients and individuals after they've been diagnosed with an illness like diabetes or some sort. And whereas I have a PhD, it's a doctor of philosophy, and what I try to do is help people live a healthy lifestyle, manage stress, eat better, and so on, so that they have a good quality of life and they don't have to interact with the medical clinicians except for when they have to for annual physicals and things like that. So, I want to make sure I differentiate that. We're both professionals, we're both doctors, but we practice a little bit different scope of medicine, if you will. Now, we got a quarter hour wellness power on the way, and I want to get right after things. So like I said, if you have a question, please feel free to send that in the chat room at the end. And as always, if you're ever going to start a physical activity program, you haven't had a physical in a year or so, or you just have any concern whatsoever, please consult your medical doctor, your clinician, before you start a fitness program or anything like that, because we want you to be happy and healthy and enjoy life with your physical activity and not hurt yourself. Now, let's kind of have a quick review of some of the things that we talked about already. The 5 components of health-related fitness are right here. And first of all, we start out with little cardiovascular health or cardiovascular endurance. And that's really probably the most significant of all of these health-related components, because we're talking about your heart, your arteries, your capillary beds, your vessels, and that's basically the plumbing of the body. And it takes oxygen to the cells, it takes waste products away from the cells. And if you don't eat well, manage stress, be physically active, your cardiovascular system can get gunked up with plaque and so forth. And that leads to some health issues that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. But heart health is very important. Then we talked about muscular endurance, which is the ability of a muscle to do repeated contractions over a period of time, if you will. And that's also very relevant for doing day-to-day activities, functional fitness, getting in and out of our automobiles, those kinds of things, low-level kinds of activities, walking, gardening, and so forth. A very important system. But then once things get a little bit more difficult for muscular endurance, muscular strength can kick in. And we had mentioned about type 1 or the slow twitch muscle fibers. Those are your muscular endurance fibers, and your fast twitch or your type 2 muscle fibers are your muscular strength fibers. And those are recruited when you're fighting for your life. You're running at top speed. You're doing everything at a maximal effort. That's where muscular strength comes in. And the two are very closely related. Then we started off everything talking about flexibility, and that's a great place to start your physical activity program by stretching. You can do that in front of the television, and it's a great way to introduce yourself to more strenuous types of activity, and it will also reduce the likelihood of you hurting yourself. So stretching or flexibility is very important. And then lastly is body composition. We covered this just last time. And based on a number of things, what we eat, how we eat, and how active we are especially, can definitely influence our body composition. And we want to make sure that we have a healthy body composition, because if it gets too high, that's a risk factor for chronic diseases. And let me explain a chronic disease. A chronic disease is a disease that takes a long time, years to develop, like heart disease, like cancer or diabetes. And the longer or the better that we can take care of ourselves, the slower these chronic diseases can manifest themselves. And like I mentioned earlier, we can have a better quality of life for a much longer quality of life. So just a real quick review of the 5 components, and we're going to kind of put them all together now. And chronic disease is related to poor health. There's a bunch of them out there, but honestly, 7 out of the top 10 leading causes of death are what I call lifestyle based. And I don't mean people live a lifestyle to purposely get heart disease or diabetes or cancer, but life is hectic. And a lot of times we put our own personal health on the back burner and don't pay as close of attention to our health as we should. And so bad things can happen. Starting out with diabetes, about 30% of the population here in America is what we call pre-diabetic. They've got risk factors for diabetes. And type 2 especially is lifestyle or behaviorally based. And if you can manage that, your nutrition, your physical activity, diabetes can be very well managed. But if you don't take care of it, it's a very destructive type of disease. Cancer is the second leading cause of death, but you can break that up into a number of different things. In colon and breast cancer, both men and women for colon, and in breast cancer for women, that's in the top 3 causes of death. And then prostate cancer, that's uniquely male, and it's not as risky as the other 2, but prostate cancer is it's very malignant, and you get it, it's tough to beat. Now, obesity, again, don't like really using that word, but all it really means is that you're carrying around a certain percentage of body fat that's unhealthy for your health. It's a risk factor, just like having high blood pressure or high cholesterol. But there's a lot of chronic disease relationships related to obesity that you might not think about: arthritis, osteoporosis, gout, sleep apnea is real common. You see these CPAP commercials on TV all the time for that. Dementia and depression, those are mental health issues, but they are related, highly correlated to obesity. So if you're worried about your health, there's a number of different ways that you can go at it to improve it. And that's what we're trying to get at today, and show you different ways to take care of your health and have fun while you're doing it. Now, not taking care of yourself, honestly, has medical expense claims to it. And like I said, the vast majority of chronic diseases are lifestyle based, and I don't think people wake up to want to have heart disease. But like I said, we sometimes put our health on the back burner, and there's a financial cost to that. And as you all know, premiums are not cheap right now, and it costs a lot of money to take care of us. So if health risk, or excuse me, if human behaviors can cause disease, human behaviors can prevent disease, and we want to share a little bit of that with you before today's over. I mentioned cardiovascular disease. Arteriosclerosis is a little different than atherosclerosis. Arteriosclerosis is calcium and plaque hardening of the arteries, where that atherosclerosis is actually the plaque inside the lumen or the opening of the artery, and that's where you can get the blockage, which leads to the strokes and heart disease and so forth. And one other thing I do want to mention, especially about cardiovascular health or aerobic conditioning, your aerobic health and aerobic fitness is universally cited as a risk factor for a lot of chronic diseases. So if you don't have good cardiovascular health, it's a warning sign. Getting out and walking around the block is really, really good for you. Walking your dog, jogging and running, which is more intense, is good, but you can get cardiovascular benefits just by walking. And I highly encourage it. A great way to start a training program. Now, what are some benefits of being healthy? We talked about the bad stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. Well, again, you can improve your health-related fitness dramatically. You can enhance your performance-related fitness. That's like agility, that's doing stuff like sports and so forth, athletic events. And your health-related performance can improve, your health-related fitness can improve your performance-related fitness very well. It can reduce your likelihood of developing almost any chronic disease, like I mentioned. And I do want to make a comment. Right now, debilitated years of life, what that's defined as is having a health issue and then it causing you health problems until you pass away. And right now, debilitated life is about 14 years. So the average lifespan is, for between men and women, 79 years of age. So you're going to start having health issues if this is the case at about 65, 66 years of age. And we don't want that. We want you to have a great quality of life as you get older. As a comparison, in the 1900s, debilitated years of life was only about 6 months. So between 1900 and 2020, something's going on that's really damaging our long-term health. And I have a pretty good idea what that is, but we'll share that with you again. You can improve your cardiovascular health markers like HDL, good and bad cholesterol, your triglycerides. Managing your glucose levels is tremendously important. We're going to talk about that just specifically here in just a minute. Blood pressure, you can really improve those health issues. Being physically fit, you can have a proper amount of lean body mass to muscle. That's really important. And not eating well, not being physically active can reduce your muscle mass to a point it's really unhealthy. And then again, we talked about depression, anxiety, managing stress. Those being physically fit helps to break up those stress hormones and help bring your internal body to a more normal balance. And that's really important. That's where like things like yoga, meditation, mindfulness come in. And so all of these things are really important. Sarcopenia, that's age-related muscle loss, and being physically active at any age is really good at reducing that. Now, just real quick, I'm going to go through some things. If your fitness level is low, start out at a low level of activity. Maybe the flexibility or beginning yoga, we discussed that. Low level aerobics, walking around the house, walking your dog, those kinds of things. Working on your core, the functional fitness that I mentioned. And really functional fitness is using your whole body for exercise. You've probably seen it, kettlebells, plyo, some of these things, yoga in and of itself are all kind of examples of functional fitness. You can also do it with fitness bands and a personal trainer. Be active, go garden in your yard, do some yard work. Those are all good things to start improving your fitness over time. If you have moderate fitness, you could start doing maybe some Tai Chi, yoga classes, Zumba, go to a gym, personal training, a lot of things. Maybe try a 5K, some fun runs. Find something that you like to do and integrate that into your activities. We're going to show you what a RIP trainer is here in the next few weeks. High interval intensity training is kind of a popular program that's going on right now. But I would recommend, if you're going to do that, get a little bit of professional help before you start doing some of those activities, because they can be tricky, they can be tough. And then if you got high level fitness, you can do any of those things that I just talked about, but maybe even challenge yourself, set personal records, join club programs like basketball or soccer at the local YMCA. Sign up for an event that's in the future. We're doing the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Run Walk on September 13th. And that's far enough out where even if you've got low level fitness, you can train long enough to prepare for that. So I would encourage it. And if I can help in any way, please contact me here at the Healthy Habits Department, and we can get you set up on a program. Now, excuse me, one other thing, I hit the go button too quick. One thing I do want to mention is blood sugar. How you eat and what you eat can dramatically influence your heart health, your body composition, your reservoirs for muscular strength and endurance kinds of activities. And if you don't eat right, it can really mess up your health. And in fact, eating well is probably, there's no probably to it, it's significantly more relevant to good long-term health and physical fitness. And you all know I'm a big fitness guy, so we're going to address that later on, but I did want to point that out. I've got some really nice software that I can use to analyze your diet if you'd like to look at that or have any interest in reviewing that. So kind of in conclusion, a lot of people don't like exercise. They don't find it fun. So you don't have to exercise to be physically fit. Find an activity that you enjoy doing. Let's say it's reading a book. You could walk out a half a mile to your favorite lake or a favorite tree, sit down under a tree, read your book, and then walk back. You can be outdoors and enjoy something. And that's a great way to get started with physical activity. Maybe find a friend that you can train with where you have similar interests, biking, walking, the dog park, and so forth. And make time for your daily activity. You're not going to find the time. We're in too hectic of an environment right now. So make time for your environment. Maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's in the evening, but make sure that you do it as best you can. And set really small goals. Set small goals that develop into moderate and long-term goals. If you're just getting started, signing up for a 5K and doing that next week probably is not to your advantage. But taking the dog to the dog park or walking with your friend, that's a great place to start. I had mentioned signing up for the future contest a little bit earlier. And then something that's really important, reward yourself. If you've achieved a milestone, you finish a 5K, you finally went out and finished and cleaned up the garden, reward yourself with something that's appropriate for that. That's really important, and it's good. It helps to repeat the behavior and reinforce the behavior that you just did. And that helps to make lifelong behavior change. And that's what we're all about. We can teach anybody to eat better, to be more active. We just put that into practice day in and day out. And you're going to live to a nice, long, old age, and you're going to have a great quality of life. So that's kind of where we're at today. If you have any questions, I'd love to take a look at them and see where we're at. Looks like we've got one. We're going to start a brand new program called Combating Battle Fatigue in our next series. And what in the world's battle fatigue? Well, tell you right now, the world's crazy. Things are coming at you from left and right. We're going to show you how to manage life stresses and the curveballs that are getting thrown at you. And you can do that through behavior. And if you're eating well, you've got good sleep, you're on your fitness game, battle fatigue is not going to take you out. So I'm looking forward to this next series. Again, if you have any questions or comments, you can contact me at suvall@phillong.com. And let me see what we've got here for a question. Oops. What are some good quality carbs to consume that won't spike your blood sugar? That's a great comment. First of all, I would not eat fruit in and of by itself because it has a much higher sugar content than vegetables per se. So you can mix a fruit with a protein or a fat, maybe a little apple butter. I know doing food records, there's a lot of peanut butter fans out there. So you can put a little bit of peanut butter on there and enjoy that. But try not to eat like a smoothie. A fruit smoothie is great, but don't have just fruit in there. Put some protein powder, maybe some almond milk, little avocado, and that will reduce the rate and the amount of time that your body converts that carbohydrate into glucose. And so instead of a big sugar spike, it's much more normal. Vegetables kind of do that by themselves. So eat fruits in the morning, vegetables at night. And that's a great way to manage your blood sugar based on that slide I mentioned earlier. One last thing, if you're out and about, do make sure that you put on sunscreen. The sun's coming out, you're here in Colorado, and up at a high altitude, you can get burnt really quick. And when you're out and about having fun, maybe this weekend at the Vandermeer get together, make sure that you put your sunscreen on so that you can enjoy the outdoors and not burn yourself. No pun intended. So with that, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.